Hello, good morning everyone and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today we are presenting webinar on strengthening personal leadership, empowering others by empowering self, organized by Applied Science and Humanities Department of Parul Polytechnic Institute, Parul University. The main agenda of this webinar is to manage or lead oneself by being clear with one's purpose in life, vision, personal values, and smart goals. It is also about having the confidence to communicate effectively with others. A person who wants oneself can win others, to which it is the essence of personal leadership. I, Vaishali Nathwani, would like to introduce the guest speaker of today's webinar, Giselle L. Barrion from Philippines. Giselle is a managing director and chief HR and organization development consultant of Great Learnings and Beyond Management Consultancy. She is a certified management consultant by CMC Global with main focus on strategic human resources, organization development and corporate trainer and a keynote speaker specializing in organizational culture, strategy, personal development, and leadership. Prior to managing her business, she had been employed in progressive leadership capacity across industries, taking operational strategic roles in the field of human resources and people development. In terms of academics, she is a PhD in Organization Development candidate at the Southeast Asia Interdisciplinary Development Institute School of Organization Development. In 2018, she released a book entitled You Can Do It, The Six Keys of Personal Development. She is the first Philippine representative to win Mrs. Tourism Universe in 2019. She has appeared in numerous TV and radio shows, including CNN Philippines as resource person for topics related to her profession. In 2019, she was awarded as Distinguished Alumna by the University of Santo Tomas and Philippine Empowered Woman of the Year with special citation as Outstanding Corporate Training and Organization Development Consultant in the Philippines by the Best Magazine. Recently, she was recognized as one of the marketing in Asia's 70 rising Filipino personalities that should be followed on LinkedIn in 2020. It's our privilege to welcome you, ma'am.
Namaste. Good morning, ma'am, and good morning, everyone who are watching us in Parul University. I feel honored for inviting me. Thank you so much, Parul University, for inviting me today. Our topic is strengthening personal leadership. Should I start, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you can start with the session.
All right. So let's talk about strengthening personal leadership. I'm sure you have encountered a lot of times about leadership. And a lot of you have your own definition about what leadership really means. For some people, when you talk about leadership, you have to learn first what a leader is, right? And they say that a leader has followers, someone who is worth emulating, someone that you should follow, someone that can motivate people. And leadership, on the other hand, is the ability to carry out the role of a leader by means of motivating the team or a group. Now, personal leadership, on the other hand, is different. Although similar in some contexts, but it has a difference also. So for this morning, we're going to talk about how do we strengthen personal leadership. Personal leadership is a person-centered approach. It develops from the inside out, but its impact is felt not only by the person practicing or living it, but by the community or group where that person or you belong. It is about increasing your self-awareness and effectiveness as a person. So you would ask, what is the relevance of personal leadership to me? Let's say I'm a student. How can I benefit in personal leadership? Well, if you're a student, you will benefit in personal leadership when it comes to leading yourself. Let's say, for example, you have projects that you have to do with a team or even individual projects. If you have personal leadership, then you will be effective at what you do. Now, as a worker, as a staff, or a teacher, definitely you would be able to be more effective in teaching your students or your staff if you are in the administrative division or group, because you are worth emulating, or you are somebody who is walking the talk. Now, how do we know if we are practicing personal leadership? We will go to that later on. But first, let's define it on the perspective of Stephen Covey. I'm sure that some of you are familiar with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and that is authored by Stephen Covey. So according to him, personal leadership is the process of keeping your vision and values before you and aligning your life to be congruent with them. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, good. I thought I lost my connection because there's some connection problem.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. All right.
And then Oprah Winfrey, of course, we know her, a famous TV host, said, "I was once afraid of people saying, 'Who does she think she is?' Now I have the courage to stand and say, 'This is who I am.'" Okay, personal leadership is knowing who you really are and what you can offer, what you can deliver. Peter Drucker, a longtime management expert, has stated that he no longer tries to teach managers how to manage others. Rather, he focuses on teaching them self-management. Okay, this requires personal leadership. Of course, we know Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker is a management guru who loves to talk about leadership. But in one of his books, he said that he no longer teaches it. Leading teams, no. What he teaches is more on how you develop your personal leadership or your self-mastery. Because if you are able to lead yourself, the principle here is that you would be able to lead others. Because how would others follow you if you're not somebody worth following? Or how can you be effective in your studies, let's say, if you do not have the right values, goals, or attitude, right? So personal leadership is a must, whether you are a staff, a worker, teacher, or even a student. All right, so let's continue. So who among you probably has social media? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm sure that some of you are keeping social media accounts, or probably they even have more than this. And how many of us wouldn't like to have likes or comments or hearts in our social media? Of course, we have friends who would love to have likes or hearts, right? And they are getting their worth, their self-esteem from these social media platforms. But if you know who you are, if you know what value you can bring to the table, then you did not have that affirmation coming from external, because the affirmation comes from inner. That's why personal leadership is important, because it's something that comes from the inside out. According to Socrates, one of the famous philosophers, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. How would you be able to teach other people if you do not know what you are capable of, if you do not know yourself? So before wisdom comes, you have to know what you can offer or who you really are. The principles that I'm going to talk about is based from the research I've gathered from more than 20 years of in my field as an HR person, a training person, an organization development person. And it's from the book, You Can Do It, The 6 Keys to Personal Development, a guidebook for people at work. And it's also good for students. In that book, there are 6 keys to personal development, an inside-out approach. We talk about here intrinsic keys and extrinsic keys. Keys 1 to 4 is what we're going to talk about, because this is more of personal leadership. All right, intrinsic keys or state of reflection. While state or key number 5 as well as number 6, it would complete the personal development program. Now, just to show you the book, this is how it looks. This is the reference material I'm talking about. Okay? So we are at the state of reflection when it comes to personal leadership. So what are the 4 keys to personal leadership? You would ask. First is you need to define your life purpose or your mission. Then, what is your desired future or your vision? Your values or your heart's treasures, as well as your goals. or turning your goals into milestones. So we will go to each one of this later on as we proceed. So first, let's go to key number 1, or define your life's purpose. As we mentioned earlier, this is about your purpose in life. Why am I here? Why do I exist? It aims to answer that. It explains why you exist, the contribution you can give to society, and the value you can create for others. Simply put, it is the fundamental reason for being. That's key number 1. You have to know your purpose, your objective. For you to become a good leader, as part of personal leadership, first, you have to concretize, clarify, what is your purpose? Why are you doing that? Right? What keeps you going? All right? Now, if you are familiar with the story of the eagle who thought he is a chicken, you would understand what is the value of knowing one's purpose is. In that story, the eagle actually grew up in a farm with chicken because a farmer happened to raise chicken. So all the while, he thought that he is one of them. And then one day, they went up to the mountain together with this farmer, whom he considers to be his boss. They happened to see this eagle up in the sky flying so high. And he really wanted to become like that eagle. And little did he know that he is also one of them, one of those eagles that's flying in the sky. He thought all the while that he's just a chicken. You see, that's the value of knowing your purpose. If you know your purpose, then you know what you will do. Now, to discern your purpose, these would be the 3 tips that I would like to share with you. First of all, you need to know what are your personal pains. Because you see, the greatest learnings in life normally comes from our personal pain. It is like a trigger. It's something that would definitely help us define better our purpose or our objective, our mission in life. And sometimes purpose can be discerned better if we travel. Traveling doesn't mean to say that you have to go out of the country. You have to go to the Philippines just to know the purpose. No, you need not do that. By traveling, what I mean is you can just go to the park, walk, reminisce, or wander around. And from there, you might be able to discover your purpose with nature. By the simple things that you do, you would find learning in it. You would find value in it. And in silence, either by meditation or prayer. So those are just some tips by which you can discern your purpose. And it worked for me as well. Now, here are the other process questions that can help you, that can guide you find out what is your purpose in life. First, what motivates me to get up and get going every day? What motivates you to go to school or to go to your work? Have you tried asking that? Now, you don't have to tell your friends. You just have to discern it, introspect. And how do you want to use the knowledge and skills that God has given you, regardless of religion? We all believe in one God. But how do you want to use the knowledge and skills, the talents that was bestowed in you? And what value do you want to create for others with the knowledge and skills that was given to you? Right? And what gives a deeper meaning to your life? So you can continue to introspect on those questions. And I think this would be one of the best process questions to ask. What do you think is the purpose of your existence in this world? Wow. This came from one of my students in one of the workshops I've handled in discovering one's purpose. And this is her answer: to inspire positive change to my students and to every person that I meet. Very nice purpose setting or mission statement. So once you are done with your purpose, you can now proceed to the next key. But first, let me share with you Maya Angelou's own mission statement. Maya Angelou, as we know, is a famous book writer, a poet, and a philosopher. Her mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive and to do some with passion, compassion, humor, and style. Okay, so you have defined your purpose. Let's now proceed to key number 2 of your personal leadership keys. Paint your desired future, or simply put, vision. How do you see yourself in the future? It doesn't totally eradicate distraction. That is the value of having a vision. But it prompts us to focus on what certainly matters, because this vision will help us give that direction on the purpose of your existence. So take note of that. That is the difference of vision from purpose. Because if purpose helps you define your purpose, meaning your reason for being, for living, why am I here? Why am I doing this? That is your purpose. But your vision gives you the direction. Where do I want to go? All right? So a person who was able to define his purpose and vision, don't you think that person wouldn't be able to lead effectively? Definitely yes. She would be able to lead more effectively. What do you want to become? Where do I want to be? Why do I want to be there? How do I envision myself in the future? Those are just some of the process questions. Okay? The best way to predict your future is to create it, according to one of the best American presidents, Abraham Lincoln. Okay? Now, let's proceed to key number 3. So you have defined your vision. Now, examine your heart's treasures. Your heart's treasures pertains to your values, your core values. Those things that are important to you. Why do we have to know about your values? Simply put, because your values will help propel your vision. It will help make your vision a reality. Because if it's just vision with no values, then it's futile. It will just be like castles in the air. So what is value or values? And how is it different from character? Because, they're interchangeably being used. When you talk about character, it's the manifestation of the value that you uphold. I'm sure that you have encountered some teachers. Like in my case, in the past when I was still young, my teacher would grade us based on our character. And these are your observable traits. Whether you're noisy or you're silent, you stand up or you were just seated the whole day. These are manifestations of character. But the value is the influencer of character. It is something that motivates you. All right? As said here, what motivates you influence what you do. In general, what we believe and how we live are inseparable. So values are the things that we believe in, while character are the things that we live. All right? Now, how do we know what are the values that are important to us, or what should we further develop? Because there are so many values that's available, probably hundreds or even thousands. But what would be the most important values that I need to have as a person? So it would be defined by your life's purpose. Check your life purpose. If you were able to concretize it, then you check your vision, your desired future, what you want to be in the future. Now, also check the culture of the organization, where you are at. If you are an employee, a teacher, how's the culture of your school or the organization where you belong? Now, if you are a student, what is the culture in Parole University that I have to carry on with me? What are the values that my school believes in, that I need to also possess as a person? Or you can also check out what would be the value of my future organization. If I'm a student and I want to work in a certain organization in the future, what are the important values that are considered to be important in that organization where I want to work in the future? So those are the things that will help you develop as early as now the values that you need to possess. It might sound values, but it's actually important because, especially for students, when you are in job interviews, these are the questions that would be asked by requisitioning managers. Like, what are your strengths and weaknesses? But more than that, what are the values that you believe to be important? And what are the certain situations wherein you were able to manifest or exhibit such values? So those are the situational based questions during interview that you have to prepare for. So as early as now, try to think of it. What are the values that I need to develop as a person? Okay, so that I'll be able to improve myself further. Now, according to Elvis Presley, one of the greatest singers of all time, values are like fingerprints. Nobody is the same, but you leave them all over everything you do. Your masterpiece, your work, your project, it's actually reflective of your value. All right? If you, let's say, submit to the professor, to your teacher, a nice project, it shows value or values of excellence and hard work. So as early as now, you are already manifesting it. All right? So what are the other values that you think are important for you? Next is key number 4, turning goals into milestones. Now, I'd like to introduce you to the 3 fish, namely plan ahead, think fast, wait and see. Now, one day, they found out that a fisherman will be catching them. So, plan ahead, prepared. The next day, when the fisherman went to the pond to catch this 3, plan ahead was already out of the pond. He went to the other pond, while think fast and wait and see was caught in the net of the fisherman. However, think fast thought of a way to get out of the net, so wait and see was left behind. So similar to a goal, if you were able to plan ahead of time and think ahead, then you will be really ahead of the game. You will be able to achieve your goals or even your vision in life. So later on, we will go to goals versus vision. Goals versus goal setting. Let's go first with the definition of goals, all right? So what is a goal? It's a statement of an end result that is aimed at a specified period of time. So you see, goals are your certain sets of achievement before you can say that you have achieved your vision. All right, I will go to that later on. Goal setting, on the other hand, is the approach that you take in order for you to achieve your goals. All right, so let's go first to goal. How is goal different from my vision? This is a common confusion by most people. If you are familiar with the analogy of an elephant, if I'm going to ask you, how do you eat an elephant? Definitely you don't eat an elephant whole, right? You eat it by cutting it into bite sizes. Of course, you eat it one at a time. Of course, if you are, it depends on your religion. But I'm just stating an analogy. I'm just stating an analogy. You do not eat an elephant, but if you want an analogy, that would be an analogy for that. You do not eat it whole, but one at a time. Or let's just say that, how do you cook, let's say, a food, a delicious meal, let's say steamed vegetable? You do not cook it right away with water, with boiling water, and then you put all the ingredients. No, you don't do that. You don't do it like that. What you do is you chop the onions, you chop the garlic, you chop the vegetable, right? Before you can eat the stew or what have you, right? So that's how it goes. That's how goal is different from a vision. Vision is the larger future. Goals are your sets of achievements for you to achieve that future. Now let's go to SMART goal setting. Okay, when you talk about smart, it has to be specific. What are your personal expectations? What do you exactly want to achieve? Try to assess these process questions. How would you describe its look and feel? And then second is measurable. How many and how much? For example, of a SMART goal setting, what do you want to achieve? If I may ask you, say a student would tell me, well, I want to have a car, teacher. All right. So let's be specific. For you to achieve that, you have to be smart. So when you talk about smart, you have to be specific. What is the color of the car that you want? What is the brand? Is it Porsche? Okay, what color? All right, is it silver and etc. Then measurable. How many cars do you like? And how much is it? And then attainable. Are those goals achievable? Have you asked yourself, given the timetable that you have? And do you have the skills and knowledge by which you can achieve it? And do you have the resources? Next is relevant. Is the goal aligned to your life purpose and desired future? How about your personal values? And are your goals applicable given your current situation? Time bound is next. By when is the completion of that goal? When do you want to have your car if that is your goal? Next year or 2 years from now once you graduate from school? And when do you like to see your goals unfolding? Is it by the time that you are already working because you need it for job hunting or you need it when you work? All right, so those are the things that you have to consider when you goal set or when you set your goals. According to Henry David Thoreau, one of the American philosophers, if you have built castles in the air, your work did not be lost. That is where they should be. Now put foundations under them. Okay? Purpose as well as vision would be just like castles in the air. You need to put foundation. Foundations of what? Foundation of values and foundation of goals. Because these would make your vision as well as your purpose a reality. Now let's repeat the process. Key number 1 is defining your life purpose. Paint your desired future is key number 2. Number 3 is examining your treasure. And key number 4 is turning your goals into milestones. And these are the sample process questions that are very important. For purpose, ask, what is the purpose of my existence? Why am I here? And next would be, what do I want to be? Or what do I want to happen? And next, for values, what do I believe in? And how do I get there would be your goal. What is the essence of all these things? If I may just repeat, it focuses on unleashing your best potential as a person, not only as a leader, but as a person. It emphasizes the value of introspection or self-reflection aspect. And if you have a well-defined purpose, desires, and values, it will be easier for us to make our life choices. It will help us make a wiser and firmer decision, thus avoiding the traps of doubts and confusion. And it helps us align our personal preferences to the perspective of the community or school we belong so we can work and enjoy life better. So these again are your 4 keys. I'd like to leave you with this from William Henley. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. You cannot lead the troop if you do not know how to lead yourself. Because if you do not know how to lead yourself, then it would lose or it would have no direction at all. So it would be a futile effort. So lead yourself first before you can lead others. That is the essence of personal leadership. As a student, the value of that to me is if I'm able to lead myself, I'll be able to lead my siblings the right way. Or I'll be able to motivate my classmates to study further, to study harder, because they can see that in me. I'm walking the talk. So more of this can be found in my book. You can do it, The 6 Keys to Personal Development, a guidebook for people at work, which now has an ebook. And you can email me or PM me if you have any questions related to this. I'm from, again, Great Learnings and Beyond, your global Asia OD and learning partner. We provide learning and development, organization development, and human resources. You can call us at 7957-8183 or globe number 0917-867-8007. By the way, they're asking for the area code. Again, that's 027-957-8183. You can also check out our website. That's www.greatlearningsandbeyond.com. So thank you so much. And I hope that you have enjoyed our session this morning, afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, there are some questions.
Okay.
What are the essential components of empowerment?
Empowerment for students, or for what perspective? For students or for in general? In general.
In general.
In general. The purpose of the components of empowerment would have to be your core value. Because you cannot be empowered if you do not know who you are. So you have to find out what is important to you.
Okay.
Yes.
And what are the ways we can empower our mind?
What are the ways? There are so many ways. You have to be creative, of course. You need to have an open mind. You have to listen to the elders, or even to people whom you can perceive as good mentors. Those are some of the ways. Actually, there are so many, but those are just some of the ways that work for me.
Okay, ma'am. And if we want to empower our students, then what are the ways to it?
I'm sorry? What are the best ways?
To empower our students.
Okay, if I'm going to empower students, what I'm going to teach them first is the art of unlearning. Unlearning, because they cannot learn if they wouldn't unlearn. Because sometimes that is the barricade when you are listening to someone. You have your set of biases. You have to put that aside, and you make your mind like an open canvas so that it would be easier for you to digest information.
Okay. And one of the questions from student is, how can we strengthen our leadership?
Oh, you didn't listen to our discussion. We can have a one-on-one on this again if you want. I feel like I am being asked like a beauty pageant contestant again. I'm just kidding.
Actually, students can't ask directly the questions
No,
to
I'm
you.
just
So
kidding. I am enjoying your questions, guys. I'm enjoying your questions.
we are the mediators for them. So we are the mediators between you and the students. We are the mediator, ma'am. The students can't ask directly to you. So they are asking us through the WhatsApp
No
message.
problem. No problem.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So the question is, how can we strengthen our leadership?
How can you strengthen your leadership? Again, you have to first concretize your purpose, and then your vision. Find out what your vision is, then your values, and finally, your goals. Turn it into milestones so that you'll be able to achieve your purpose and your vision. Because you see, if you don't have these four, no matter what kind of leadership programs that you attend, whether it's basic or the advanced ones, it would be futile. Know why? Because you cannot even lead yourself. Because leadership programs will just teach you, like, say, the essence of planning, leading, motivating people, or managing people. But the problem is you. You have a problem with your values. You are not aligned with the organization or where you are at. Then there is a disconnect there. So it has to, it has to begin from the inside out.
Okay. And what are the basic leadership qualities that a person should have as a leader?
As a leader, of course, someone who can walk the talk. That's the basic leadership quality, worth emulating. A role model, so to say.
Yes, so we should have a role model, right?
Yes,
All
a
of
role
us.
model. Because
Yes,
people would, it's so easy for someone to say that, hey, you should follow me. This is the right thing to do. But if the person doesn't see it in you, let's say, for example, a leader would say, you have to be here early, but the leader comes in late.
great.
Then there's a
Yes,
disconnect, right? So
yeah.
you have to start with you. But if you come there early, everybody would definitely come early because they would be shy if they would see you coming in early than they do. So they would just follow you.
Okay. And as a leader, how can we motivate our team?
How you can motivate your team, of course, these days, motivation is really needed, especially with the impact of pandemic. And you know what? A lot of people are asking me the same thing about motivation. But I think a leader must be understanding, must be compassionate. For you to be able to lead people better, you have to lead them with love. You know, how do you lead them with love? You lead them with love by showing them compassion. Compassion for me is being responsive to other people. When they need you, you're there, right? You don't have to give them everything that they need, but provide them with what you can.
Okay. And from one question from our faculty, what is the role of leader while teaching and learning process?
What is the role of a leader? Actually, leaders are very essential in most organizations because they would have to carry out whatever the vision or the mission of the school or an organization. If we do not have effective leader, then how, no matter how beautiful the vision of, let's say, a school or an organization is or its mission, nobody would carry it out, then what would others follow? So that's how vital a role of a leader is.
Okay. And students has a confusion. How can we achieve the right way to achieve our goal?
How can you achieve your goal? All right. Actually, I mentioned that earlier about goal setting. It's about SMART principle. First, you have to be, when you talk about SMART, you have to be specific. Like, tell me, what do you want to be? What do you want to have? If you're able to concretize what you want to have, you have to be very specific. You want, let's say, a car. Now, tell me, what brand of car do you want? What color of car do you want? You want a Porsche that's red? All right, let's go to measurable. How many Porsche cars would you like to have? 2, 1, 3, 10. Okay? How much does it cost? Measurable. That's part of measurable, right? And next is attainable. Is it attainable? Is it achievable now or not yet? And results. How do you measure that? And then time bound. Like how many or how long can you achieve that? Right?
Okay. And what is a passionate leadership?
Passionate leadership. From the word compassion. Compassionate leader, you mean compassionate or passionate?
Compassionate.
Compassion is putting your shoe to someone else's. It's leading them with responsiveness. You know, when they need you, you are there. You try to understand where they are coming from, and you try to be more accessible or available to others who are in need. Especially these days, it's very needed. Compassionate leadership.
And is there any effect of COVID-19 in this leadership?
Come again? I cannot hear you.
Effect
Intermittent signal.
Yeah. Effect of COVID-19 in leadership?
Of course, it definitely affected the way people in general communicate, whether it's a leader or a staff. That's why it's important for leaders to have strategies on how they can communicate effectively to their people or to their colleagues. Or if, let's say, in a corporate set, in a school setting, it's how you have to communicate with your students as well as your co-teachers or faculty members. So, an important skill that a leader must possess these days is communication, interpersonal relations in a virtual world. So, how do you engage people, make them committed, make them happy or satisfied despite this virtual world that we are into?
Okay. And ma'am, how can we learn from our daily routine? Means,
How can you learn from your daily routine?
yeah,
Well, it's
for
important
leadership.
that
Yeah,
how can you learn from your daily routine?
for leadership qualities.
Okay. Actually, if we will just be mindful of our daily activities, you will learn a lot from your daily routine and make sure that you reflect at the end of the day what happened, what transpired, what are you grateful for, what can you still improve on, and how can you make the most of the talent that you have, and what else can you do moving forward.
And if we want to get a job in COVID-19 during this situation, what is the effective way to get it?
Okay. Of course, you have to be adaptable because most companies would definitely look for candidates who can easily adapt, especially with the kind of situation that we are into. So, technology savviness is one of the must skills these days that you have to develop. And you try to learn as much as you can. Find out the etiquette that you need to develop because communication online is different from in person. So
Yeah.
try to develop that further. There are certain do's and don'ts that you do when you are in the virtual world. Like earlier, I was talking to my laptop. I do not see you guys, but I am trying to visualize that I have an audience. Unlike before, when it comes to in person, I'm more alive, I'm more engaged. So you see, that's an adjustment. You need to
Yes.
have more creativity in the reality
Yeah.
nowadays. So a lot of creativity and proactiveness is needed.
Yeah. Um, what is the role of virtual platform in leadership?
Come again?
What is the role of virtual platform in leadership?
What is the role of culture in
Virtual
leadership?
platform.
A virtual platform in leadership, of
Yeah.
course, virtual platform will play a big role, especially that, of course, with the impact of COVID-19, employees are, and even students are WFH or work from home, right? And virtual platform is the means of a leader by which they can communicate through people. Facebook Messenger, Viber, LinkedIn, Zoom, Google Hangout, or Google Meet. These platforms would help you get in touch with your people. So it doesn't stop that, you don't see each other in the office or school. There are many ways by which you can still get connected to people. And the importance of virtual platform is it makes us, in fact, closer to one another. If you are looking at it in a positive context, virtual reality or virtual platform rather makes you closer to home. It's not actually making us distant but closer. Imagine before, I have to go to India before we can talk, before I can train or I can speak. But now it's easy. After 30
Yes.
minutes from my lunch, I went here in my office and boom.
Okay.
That's how things become more accessible these days.
Yes, yes, that's true. And ma'am, what are the resources to attain our goal? If we want to attain our goal, then what are the resources that we can use?
Knowledge. You are your own resource. You know, the greatest resource that you have is you. But you just have to discover that. So when you apply to a job, you have to be ready. These things that I talked about earlier, if you have reflected on it, if you have imbibed it, whoever asked that, by the way, whoever asked that, definitely you will be able to get the job that you want. Because these are the things that would normally an employer or a requisitioning manager, a hiring manager would ask from you. Like, what are the values that's important to you? What do you want to be in 5 years' time, etc.? If you're able to concretize it as early as now, the moment you step in for the job interview, whether it's virtual or meet in person, you'll be able to handle it with ease, with more confidence, and that's what they want to look at, the confidence in you on how you handle situations.
Ma'am,
I hope I answered your question.
yes, yes. Ma'am, right now, due to virtual platform, it's very difficult to communicate with the students during online session. So, can you give some guidance to communicate with them and to teach the leaders qualities?
All right. There are so many ways. We have asynchronous and synchronous learning methodology. Like in the Philippines, there are some public schools that cannot afford to have internet connection. So there are some that what they do is if they really cannot, they cannot meet online. Students do not have access to internet or they do not have a laptop, say for instance. What they do is they send out hard copies to the parents. Okay, they send out hard copies or manual guidelines to the parents so that they can help, especially for those who are who's lucky enough to have parents who have attended schooling. But for those who are not able to have parents like that, because I understand that there are some parents who just reach, let's say, elementary. The teachers sometimes, they visit the student and they give the manual to the student so that they can read it. And then they would designate a timetable by which they can talk over the phone, by which there's no internet needed, and they can discuss it over there. So there are limitations. Not all people are fortunate enough to have access to internet, but we can always do something about it.
Ma'am, how can we manage daily routine with our leadership?
Come again? How can
How
they
can we,
manage?
daily routine with leadership?
How can they manage daily routine with leadership? I presume what the person meant is how can you become or how can you show your leadership every day? I presume that's what the person who asked that question intends to ask, right? How can you show your leadership every day?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You know, if you have reflected on what we have talked about earlier related to the four keys, you don't even have to, it just comes naturally. You don't have to set your mind that, hey, I should act this way in a certain way, I should look a certain way, because whatever you say or whatever you do would be reflective of those, the purpose, the vision, the values, and even the goals that you've set. It would be reflective in the way that you act, that you talk, or that you feel about a situation or a person, or when you plan. It's always synchronized to that. That's why we've talked about introspection for this morning. We've talked about it because that's how important introspection is or reflection is.
Ma'am, how can we attain the skills and knowledge to achieve the goals?
Okay, how can we attain those keys? Of course, first of all, you have to be willing to learn. And then if you are willing to learn, then try to reflect on it once again. And there's no overnight success. And even if you have achieved already a certain level of success, at times you will stumble and you might fall. But you have to stand up. You need to be resilient and go back to it again. Pick up the pieces and continue to pursue what you have initially started. because there are stumbling blocks that sometimes you know already what to do, you have concretized it, but these challenges would affect you on how you want, or how you proceed or move forward. So pick up the pieces, move on, carry on, and then do it again, do the process again. So willingness is the first thing.
When you talked about personal values
Mm-hmm.
during achieving the SMART goal setting, right?
Right.
So, what are the personal values that we should take care of it?
All right, I like the question. As a student, one of the most important values would be, of course, hard work. Hard work, because why hard work? It might sound simple for some, but hard work would be the baseline of excellence. You cannot be excellent if you are not hardworking. And you need hard work in everything that you do. My gosh, with the assignments and the projects, you cannot accomplish anything without hard work, without a sweat and blood.
Yes, yes. So hard work is necessary.
Yes, hard work. And definitely integrity. Integrity. So you do things right even when no one is looking around.
Yes,
Or you do the
honesty.
right things, or honesty. But I like to say integrity more. I like integrity better, because integrity for me is doing things even when no one is looking around. Honesty would be truthful, probably in front of you, but integrity is deeper, because even if you are not there, you're not present, you are still true to that person, or to the company, or to the organization.
And the measurable, you told about the measurable points, how much and how many to achieve our SMART goals. How it is measurable, that how much the goal is important, or that way.
Right. It has to be measurable, because what gets measured gets done, according to Peter Drucker. That's why you need to have some sort of measurements.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I think we have covered all the questions.
Okay, I thought there are 100 questions.
Oh my God. Okay, ma'am, one question has arrived. One question has arrived. I'm sorry. But yes, the one question is, how can we describe the look and feel of specific goals?
How can you describe the look and the feel of a specific goal? When you talk about the look and the feel, it depends on the specific goal that you have. The process question that I gave are just some of the process questions that you can ask. Okay? Like earlier, when I gave you the example about the car, by look and feel, how does your car look like? How does it feel when you see the car? Do you feel elated? Do you feel better? That's just an example. But there could be other examples of a goal. Like a goal can also be something that's intangible. Say, I want to become, let's say, a restaurant owner someday. For example, just an example, I want to own a big restaurant, a huge restaurant someday. So what is the specific look and feel of that restaurant that you want to have? Do you want to make it like a country style restaurant, sort of? So that's what I meant by look and feel. You have to be very specific. Okay, so that when you close your eyes, you can dream on it, even with your even when your eyes already open.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank you
ma'am,
so
for
much for all. Yeah.
giving us your valuable time.
Yes, you're welcome. And thank you also for those questions and for the opportunity to speak in Parul University. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank you, the head of our department, Mr. Hemal Patel, sir, the
Yes, thank
HR
you.
of our institute, Professor Jatin Vaidya, sir, the academic director, Dr. Mahesh Bhatt, sir, and the president of our university, Dr. Devanshu Patel, sir, for motivating and supporting us continuously. Last but not the least, I would like to thank you, all the students and faculties who assembled here today for this webinar. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Should I leave?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Is it okay now?
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you.
Vaishali madam,
Yes, sir.